Mike, Bruce, thank you very much for joining me today for an update on Redbank Copper. Bruce, I'll get to you shortly, but Mike, let's start with you. Firstly, congratulations on your recently completed capital raising, which from all reports was very heavily supported, and I imagine this round of funding will set you up for the next phase of work. Without giving too much away, can you provide listeners with an update on what the Redbank team has been busy working on since we last spoke in December?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So the capital raising did happen very quickly, fast and furious. So we raised a little over $7 million. That's de-risked us for our exploration program for the North Australian dry season. So we intend getting out there sometime around early June and having field programs that take us through a 6-month period to the end of November. So the $7 million that we've raised is going to fully fund us for all the work that we intend doing this field season. So the geologists have been busy processing all the data that we collected last year. That's looking very interesting. So we're going to have news to report to the market in the coming weeks. And we're also preparing for a number of geophysical surveys, doing more soil sampling work, and organising some drilling programs, because we're working up some drill targets from the data that we collected from last year. We're also in the process of generating a JORC 2012 resource estimate. That's really to update from the previous JORC 2004 resource estimate that was last done approximately 10 years ago. So we've got over 6,000 samples that have been assayed that will be fed into that JORC 2012 resource.
Thanks, Mike. I'd like to go over to Bruce if I can. Now, Bruce, you're relatively new to the Redbank fold, having joined the board late last year and following your time as Chief Exploration and Business Development Officer for Sandfire Resources. So quite the resume you've got there. Now, taking into account your global experience in the copper sector, could you give us some insight into what you believe the current strengths of Redbank are? And why do you believe the company is so well placed to capitalise on the growing demand for copper on a global scale?
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, no, it's a copper province, and it's a fascinating province which has got defined resources, which have got good grade. Grade's king in the base metal industry, and those deposits are both shallow with open pit potential, but they've also got some high grade intercepts which can be potential underground mines as well. So there's some really great targets to get an economic project up and running in this basin in a area that really hasn't been explored over the last few decades with modern exploration techniques. We've got new understanding and models for basin developments for the copper within these basins, and the Eastern McArthur Basin is a really great new area that's got potential to be a major copper province over time. So that's the exciting thing, and we're really looking forward to making the most of that province.
Thanks, Bruce. Now, back to you, Mike. It certainly looks like you've got the right team in place to make it happen for the Redbank project, and it certainly looks like an exciting few months ahead. Now, last time we caught up, you gave us a brief rundown on the 2020 field work that was nearing completion. Can you now give us an update on timing with regards to fieldwork assays and the JORC resource update?
So the assays are all in. We're currently processing all that work at the moment. There was over 6,000 samples taken that have all been assayed. That's all being fed into a resource estimate right now. We also completed a soil sampling program over an area of about 200 square kilometres over the central Redbank area and extending out to the east and to the north. So we're currently processing all that data. So we should have news to report to the market in the coming weeks. The most important thing at the moment is that Redbank has secured the entire Eastern McArthur Basin with tenement applications, and a large proportion of those applications are due to be granted in the coming weeks. So once we have granted tenements, we'll then be able to make plans to go out and undertake first pass exploration. So internally in the office, we've collated a vast amount of data, both minerals exploration data and data that the oil and gas explorers use to locate areas which we think have got high potential for copper deposits.
Thanks, Mike. So looking ahead to the remainder of 2021, can you give us a bit of a brief insight into what your plans are looking like over the coming months and in terms of an exploration strategy?
As far as strategy goes, we want to have the shortest distance between the money we've got in the bank, the geoscientists, and finding copper targets that we can drill. So we're setting up to get out into the field in the beginning of June. We're going to have a site visit there in the next 6 weeks. Out at site, there's 25,000 metres of drill core that have been drilled into the existing deposits. So we're going to go out there, use modern technology to review all that drill core and try and understand why the copper is in those breccia pipes. If we understand why the copper is there, it'll help us target areas outside of the existing deposits to try and discover both more breccia pipes and other areas that have got horizontally oriented strata-bound copper mineralisation. We think we're getting to a pretty good understanding of why the copper is there. So we'll have more to say about that in the coming weeks.
And Bruce, just to finish off, do you have any closing comments that you'd like to leave us with?
I'm just excited by the season coming up and the drill targets that we're going to be able to test this year on all sorts of varieties, from the known deposits through to potentially larger recessive deposits or other geophysical targets. So great first step this year to find an economic deposit, and it should be a good field season.
Brilliant. Really appreciate you both joining me today. All the best for 2021 and your upcoming work programs, and hopefully we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Alex.